All right, guys, so sorry, I figured I did the problem wrong, so that's why I've erased it, but I went ahead and kept my model here. We're gonna go ahead and read this problem. There are gonna be two answers that you are going to have to solve for this. So let's go ahead and read this and then we'll talk this out. It says, Pedro is building a spice rack that has 4 shelves. So here's my spice rack, and I have shelf 1, shelf 2, shelf 3, and shelf 4. And it says there that are each 55 hundredths of a meter long. So here's my 55 hundredths of a meter. It says at the hardware store, Pedro finds that he can only buy the shelving in whole meter lengths. So exactly how many meters of shelving will he need? There's your first problem. And then it says since he can only buy whole number lengths, how many meters shelving should he buy? That would be your second one. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're first going to go ahead and say, well, here's one shelf. He needs this much for a second shelf, this much for a third shelf, and then this much for a fourth shelf. Okay, now you could multiply this out and take 55 hundredths and multiply it by 4, or you could add it up. So I'm actually just going to add it up. Okay, so I've got 5, 10, 15, 20, and I'm going to regroup my 2. I've got 5, 10, 15, 20, 21, and 22. Okay, now I'm going to bring that decimal down and I'm going to put that 2 over here because remember, if I have 22 tenths, this is going to show me that 22 tenths. So how much does he actually need? He needs 2 and 20 hundredths of a meter of the shelving. Now, when he goes to the hardware store, he can't go and say, well, I want 2 and 20 hundredths. He has to do the whole. So this is kind of where we're going to be rounding. And this is where it's going to be a little bit different because if he goes to the store, is he going to want to round down and just get 2 meters? Or is he going to round up and want to get 3 meters? Okay. He actually is going to wants to get 3 meters. And the reason is because if he bought only 2 meters, would he have enough to build those shelves? No, he wouldn't. He would only have enough to build part of it. He would be missing that number. So sometimes when we are looking at things and we want to round up and make sure that we have enough, we kind of have to think about what it's asking and make sure that do we have enough? Because if you don't have enough, he can't make it all. Okay. Same thing here. This one is also going to be another 2 problem question. It says Marcel rides his bike to school and back on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Okay. So here's the deal though, is it doesn't say that he does that round trip. So if he goes to school on Tuesday, he comes home from school on Tuesday, he goes to school on Thursday, and then he comes home on Thursday. So it was only telling us that he goes to school and back. We have to make sure that we show it because this next sentence says he lives 3 and 62 hundredths kilometers away from school. So that's not his round trip. That's only one way. So this is how much I would show what it is. So it says Marcel's gym teacher, and I'm going to put gym right here. So Marcel's gym teacher wants to know about how many. So this is the teacher that wants to round it. About how many does he kilometers does he bike in a week? But his math teacher wants to know that exact number. Okay. So over here to find out about how many, I can go ahead and round this to a nice number. I could do it 2 different ways. I could either say, well, I can count this as 3 and 5/10, or I could also just round it up to 4. I could round it down to 3, because remember when we're saying about how many, it's not going to be the exact amount. It's just going to make sure that we are close. I'm going to do 3 and 5/10 because I know if I do 3 and 5/10 here, this 5/10 and this 5/10 is going to give me 1 whole. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do for my rounding. And when I have this, I can do 3 and 5/10 and I can add that up, or I can multiply it. It depends on what you want to do. I've got 5, 10, 15, 20. Bring down that decimal, regroup that 2. I've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14. So he can tell his gym teacher he goes about 14 kilometers a week. Okay. But now his math teacher wants to know the exact amount. So this is where I would have to go ahead and either multiply this out or add this. And so I'm actually just going to add this up because it's just 4. It's not that much to do. If you want to multiply it, you can. We will be learning how to multiply in the next couple weeks, so that will be something you'll be able to do. So I've got 2, 4, 6, 8. I've got 6, 12, 18, 24. I'm going to bring that decimal down, and then I'm going to regroup that 2. I've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14. Okay. So he's going to tell his math teacher that he goes 14 and 48 hundredths of a kilometer a week. Okay. Now, if you notice that 14 is really close how we rounded this. Now, if I would have rounded that down to 3, it would have been 12. If I rounded this up to 4, it would have been 16. So 12 and 16, that's really close to 14. So either one of those would have been correct. Okay, here is the last problem. It says the Poetry Club had its first bake sale and they made $79.35. The club members are planning to have 4 more bake sales. So I'm just going to draw this diagram here. So they want to have 4 more bake sales. Okay, and at one bake sale, they made $79.35. That's a pretty good profit that they made. Leslie said, if we make the same amount at each bake sale, we're going to make $3,967.50. Peggy says, no way, Leslie. We'll earn $396.75 after 5 bake sales. Oh, I think that should be 4. I think that's a typo in the lesson. Or no, I am wrong. Sorry. It should be 5 because they have this bake sale and then they're going to have 4 more. So I am sorry I made that mistake. So please make sure that you correct that. They were correct. I misread that. I probably should have read through before we did this. So here are the other 4 that they will do. So Leslie is saying that we're going to make $3,000, but then Peggy is saying, no, we're going to make almost $400. So this is where what I would do is I would probably round this instead of trying to figure it all out. I would round this to $80, 80, 80, 80, 80. Okay, so if I have $80 and I'm going to round that, or I'm going to multiply that by 4, this is just an easy 80 times 5, okay, because there's going to be 5 total bake sales. You guys know how to multiply this, so I've got 0, 8 times 5 is 40. So if I were to estimate this, they're saying that she would make $400. They would make $400, not that $3,000. I think the reason is what Peggy did was because this was in the 3500s. She did her math incorrectly and put it wrong on the place value chart. Because these numbers are very similar, it's just the place value, the decimal was moved over a place value and there was another 0, okay? If you want to write down the reasoning as to why Peggy is incorrect and Leslie is incorrect and Peggy is correct, you may go ahead and do that now.